Good afternoon. I'm reporting from sunny southern Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada. As you all know, there have been a lot of patriots that have been protesting at the federal courthouse in Las Vegas, Nevada. And, one of the things that we're protesting is the lack of jurisdiction by the federal courts. I've been saying this for some time, the Bundys have been saying this for some time, that there is no jurisdiction outside of territories in Washington, D.C. There's a recent case called, it's a federal tax case, and it was in Lufkin, Texas, and which the plaintiff prevailed. And in this case, well, actually the defendant prevailed. In this case, the plaintiff, again, was the federal government. And it was shown through, the Constitution of the United States and certain congressional statements that the federal courts have no jurisdiction. Now, we always talk about Clark County, Nevada, in the Congressional Act that made it part of the state of Nevada 2 years after the state of Nevada was created in 1864. So, in 1862, and then 1864, Clark County was added to the state of Nevada. And in that Congressional Act, it's very clear that the federal government has no jurisdiction. So we have an invasion by a federal corporation, all right? Because Washington, D.C. was incorporated some time ago. I believe it was in the early 1800s, if I'm not mistaken. And corporations are laws within themselves. They, generally compared, corporate law is many times compared to maritime law, admiralty law, because they're basically a law of the high seas. It's not constitutional. So by usurpation, the federal government has been usurping authority, where they have no authority at all. And I believe this is why you have these judges like Judge Gloria Navarro, Judge Anna J. Brown will not allow the Constitution of the United States in a federal court, because once they do that, it'll prove they have no jurisdiction, none whatsoever. That's why she won't even allow the defense to use the First and the Second Amendment rights to be articulated in that court. Because they don't recognize them. They don't recognize the Constitution of the United States, and if they did, it's over with. It's flat over with. I think everybody should go and watch this. Watch this. It's not a video, but look at this. You can get it in a PDF file, but look at this article, and this is very recent. This was just recently posted on March 30th, 2017, and it was posted by Maine Republican Email Alert, and it's very, very informative, and it goes through the history of this federal usurpation and what's happened. And what really gets me, and I'm not going to scroll through this whole thing, but it's a really good synopsis of what has taken place in our country. Now, this explains perfectly why these judges are doing what they're doing. They know they don't have any jurisdiction, and that is insidious, right on its surface, that they know that. They know they're committing fraud. So, wow, I mean, these judges absolutely need to be arrested and prosecuted. And we have this collusion now, which they are extending just to save their butts, in my opinion. They have this collusion with your local sheriff here in Southern Nevada, Sheriff Lombardo. His deputies got on a stand, something like over 2 dozen of them, and lied. They lied. So this collusion is conspiracy, and here's what's amazing: they're calling people that exercise their constitutional rights as conspiring. Well, I suppose technically that's correct, because I would conspire against an illegal entity trying to take over my life, trying to take over my county and my state. All right? Okay, so, let's just reverse the tables. And now we realize that they're violating RICO statutes, that they are conspiring against the American people. I've been saying this, and other people have been saying this for a long, long time. What you have is a group of individuals that is just another gang, just another mafia gang that has pulled the wool over the eyes of the American people. But we're waking up. We're waking up. And something needs to be done. Right now, where do you go? Where do you go to put an end to this? Our local sheriff is in collusion with this conspiracy against the American people. Isn't it amazing? They're always guilty. The federal government is always guilty of exactly what they are accusing you of. And they create this illusion that they hand down, that percolates down to all your local law enforcement. Next thing you know, they're federalized and they're militarized, and they're abusing their fellow citizens. This has got to stop. This has got to end somewhere. And it really needs to stop now. And people need to wake up to this illusion, because these people are in control, are embeds that go way, way back. The Obama administration embedded a lot of these communists in our country. The Bushes did, the Clintons did, and they're still there. They're still there. And it's either us or them. Make no mistake about it. It is either us or them. If we allow them to get away with the destruction of our Constitution, the total destruction of our Constitution, we ourselves are going to be enslaved. It's amazing the mind games that they play. You hear this all this time. Look out for the sovereign citizens. Like it's a bad thing. What is the opposite of a sovereign citizen? It's a slave. But they want you to think that a sovereign citizen is some evil, corrupt person. And a sovereign citizen is just saying, hey, I am sovereign. My state is sovereign. Okay? You're an invading army. An invading army that Thomas Jefferson warned us of, and here it is. I would really like to come up with some rock-solid solutions to counteract this. But the only thing so far, short of bloodshed, that I've been able to come up with is education. Education. The people need to be educated. Your local law enforcement need to be educated. We've been trying to do that, on the footsteps of that courthouse. We've been trying, and you know what? Interesting enough, it appears at least the Department of Homeland Security, some of those guys actually, they know something's not right. You can just see it on their faces. We do get a chance to talk to them. I've seen Doug Knowles talking to him. I've seen David Fleeman talking to him. I've talked to him myself. I've seen John Land talking to him, trying to get certain points across. And it's tough. We know that. That's, they're in performing of their jobs. But performance of a job is no excuse for violating the constitutional rights of your fellow citizens. It is no excuse for destroying your true government. because we actually love our government the way it was originally designed and originally set up. It is a masterpiece that is shown throughout history, because you can go back in history and you've seen governments rise and fall, and you know, this, what they call this great experiment of America, the Constitution of the United States, is a masterpiece to the whole world. It's meant to be a city on a hill, a light, you know, for the rest of the world. And it's being torn down, it's being destroyed by intellectual idiots, by communists embedded in this country. And I want to talk about intellectual idiots. You can have all kinds of facts at your immediate mental disposal and appear to be a very educated person. But that doesn't mean you're intelligent. Because if you don't have wisdom, which is really nothing more than common sense, then you become an intellectual idiot. And all of your learning and all of your knowledge is destructive. It's destructive to you, and it's destructive to your fellow man. If you don't abide by eternal principles that are found in the Constitution of the United States, you hear what I said? Eternal principles that are found in the Constitution of the United States. Slavery, freedom, all those things come about one way or another, either by the destruction of the eternal principles or by the upholding of the eternal principles. They are not changing. The Constitution is not this living document that can be manipulated, that can be formed into something that, you know, your neocons want, your communists want. It is based upon eternal principles. It was written for an 8th grade education at the time. It wasn't written just so lawyers could understand it. It wasn't written, you know, to, as I said, to be manipulated. It was written for the common man to, you know, we the people, the 4th branch of the government, and the most powerful branch of the government when you get right down to it. Because whatever the people want, they will ultimately get. And the people have got to want eternal principles. You know, there's a scripture that I really like, and it says, that which is bound by law is sanctified and perfected by the same. We need to bind ourselves to those principles found in the Constitution of the United States, and we will be perfected and we will be sanctified. But if we don't, this is going to get really, really ugly, because it leaves us with only one alternative, and that is literally by force, which is one thing we want to avoid at all costs. Okay? Education, at least at this time, is the key. Let's get people educated. You know, there's so many people out there that got so much pride in, you know, law enforcement. Is it because they wear shiny or nice new suits and got the clean haircut and the badge and, you know, all the armament, and they drive around in these beautiful brand new black and white vehicles? You know, they think they're special, but that badge does not grant them any special rights. It just doesn't. And all that stuff they have that they parade around in is paid by the taxpayer. You know, we supplied that to them so that they could do the proper job. They are public servants. Okay, they are not our master. They work for us. They work for the American people, and they have forgotten that. They have forgotten it, and they go out of the way to intimidate, because for decades now, the police officers, or the police unions, the counties, the police departments have been hiring narcissistic type personalities. And really, that is a lack of wisdom. It's a lack of common sense when you get right down to it. And they are bound and determined to do the job that they think they're supposed to do, even no matter how it intimidates their fellow citizens. And it's really disgusting to see it. It's really disgusting to see the self-righteousness, holier than thou, superior attitude fostered upon, you know, their fellow Americans. It's disgusting. You know, I mean, we've seen it time and time again. We've had something like, you know, different people, but 8 arrests on the courthouse. Joshua Martinez being the number one. But, you know, Ken Medenbach. And I don't know who the others are because I haven't always been there. But, you know, you've got David Zeinruger. And, you know, he goes up there and he prays every morning on the doorsteps with a flag that says petition to heaven. And he's come pretty close. Right? So they always surround him, you know, as he's praying, which is kind of interesting. You know, I think they don't want to interrupt the man praying to God because that's like a direct attack on God. So, but this is what's been going on. They just intimidate, impede, you know, they're always talking about conspiracy to imitate, impede, or threaten federal officers. Well, that's exactly what they're doing to sovereign citizens of Clark County of Nevada. So they are the ones that are doing exactly what they're accusing others of doing. So, you know, next week, starting Monday, it's good to have people out there. It's really good to have people out there because it definitely makes an impression and it gets the message out. So, you know, let's get out there, let's protest, let's do whatever we can to wake people up. Okay? Thank you.